Hi, welcome to the King's Forge How to Play video. The medieval king is issuing a contest to find the new royal blacksmith, and you are sick of being a nobody living in your thatched hut in the middle of the farms, and you want to try out and get that gig because, hey, who wouldn't want to go live at the castle with the princess and get free air conditioning? Let's see how to play. Alright, so first let's talk about setup. In every game of King's Forge, you're going to use a gather deck. And unless we're playing with the 5-player expansion, it's always going to be set up the same way. There are 4 cards, and my cards have white borders because they have sleeves on them, so don't let that fool you. They look just like the ones that you have if you're looking at your set at home. There are 4 cards with little anvils in the right-hand corner, and there are the 2 mines and the 2 forests. These 4 gather cards are used in every game and must go in every gather card deck. So I'm going to start the deck with that. I'm then going to shuffle all of the other gathering cards I have. So if you have the Queen's Jubilee expansion ones, you can even throw those in, or you can just keep it to the normal base game. Furthermore, if you have a second edition or later, there's actually a recommended first game of King's Forge as far as the setup. So you can consult your rulebook, and we do recommend that you play with those cards because that'll give you a fairly balanced game that doesn't have anything too aggressive happening in it. So do consult the rulebook for that. Anyway, what you're going to do is you're going to take and shuffle those and pick 7, or not pick, I guess, just take the first 7. Take the rest of those and put those back in the box. Take those 7 and add these to this 4. So there's an 11-card gather deck. These cards represent the places around the village. They're at least available to you during this game of King's Forge. These are places where you can go and get more dice or more bonuses. They do all sorts of really important things. So there's our gather deck. You're going to take the craft deck. This is the one that's got all the pictures of items on them. You're going to take all these and just shuffle these, and then we're going to splay out some number of them that is dependent on how many players are playing. So if it's a 2-player game, I actually need 9 of them, 3 players 10, and a 4-player game is 13. Let's deal out a 3-player game here just for fun. So I need 10 of these. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Arguably, you could say the setup is probably the hardest part about this game to remember and understand. Okay, and now as we're looking at these gather cards, we can look at them. They're all public information at this point. We need to arrange them from the lowest number on top to the highest number on the bottom. So I'm just going to go 1, we got a 5, we got a 9. And, usually when I'm playing King's Forge, there's someone new at the table, and I'll give this responsibility to someone who's already played before while I'm explaining the rules to someone else, because it does take a second. You got a 13, a 17, 37, 41, 65, 73, 77. All right, done. All right, so once you have these, what you're going to do is take the first 3, and these will be immediately available to craft, and display the rest. I usually do it above it, but sort of anywhere in the vicinity. Some place where players can see all the other items that need to be crafted throughout this game. So there you go. So there's the start of the general central setup. And right now I do want to notice I'm not using the board right now. I'll put these on the board in a second. If you own an original edition of King's Forge, it didn't come with the board. From the 2nd edition onward, though, it will be a standard article. I do want you to note that you can play King's Forge without the board. It does make a great travel game, and you can bring it anywhere. The board is nice, it's pretty, and it's helpful for remembering the setup. But if you can learn how to do it without it, then you're great. There are 4 docs cards here. Those are important. At this point, it's now time to give players their stuff. There's a number of these smithy tiles. They're double-sided. They just have pretty pictures on them that basically say what sort of your mascot is for your blacksmithing workshop. Give each player one of them. So here, let's give, I'm not sure if those are in the camera or not. Let's put them sort of around here, I guess, where you're more likely to actually see 3 players sitting around a table. So something like that. Okay, once each player has selected their tile, we need to give each player 5 black dice. There are 4 main types of materials in this game. Black or metal, green is wood, red are gemstones, and blue is magic. And I'll let you guess which one is the rarest type. Turns out magic does not grow on trees. Anyway, give everybody 5 of those dice, and they're welcome to put them on the smithy tile at the start of the game. However, the first thing you do every round is actually take all of your dice off of your smithy tile. Your smithy tile is really a place to store things that you can't use that round. And we'll see it used that way repeatedly. All right, so the start of the game, everyone takes their dice off. And there you go, you're ready to play Kingsforge. I'm actually just gonna now, at this point, introduce and show you the board. We'll just move everything to the board. And I'm gonna try to do that relatively quickly. All right, so if you are playing with the board, this is what it'll look like. And again, the stuff has just been slightly rearranged. There are sort of dedicated dice areas, as noted by the color of the icons on each of these little, I don't know, graphic areas. You do not need the docks tiles if you're playing with the board. The board takes care of that for you. It's all the same stuff right down here. So anyway, let's also put the tiles over there just for the tokens, rather. They do have screen printing on them. Let's say it's now time to start the game, and all the players can roll a die or two and determine who goes first. Whoever rolls the highest will get the first player anvil. So we'll slam that down right there, and we'll say this Phoenix player is player 1. All right, at this point, we can flip over the gathering cards. There is always going to be 4 gather cards showing at all times. Until basically you run out, so keep that in mind. Player 1 has several options. It's basically such that the dice that you have, you can either spend on getting other additional benefits or dice, or you can save to try to roll and craft something. And I want to draw your attention over here to these 3 cards. If the first player doesn't spend any of these dice, they're going to roll these 5. I'm not sure if you can see that roll. That was a pretty nice roll. And as long as you can meet or beat whatever's on the card, you can craft that item. And so this is a pretty nice trumpet right here. The whole point of Kingsforge is to make 4 of these items. If you can make 4 of these items in this way, you win the game. It sounds very easy, but you have to remember other players are going to be doing it at the same time as you. And furthermore, the longer you wait to craft things, the more difficult the items get to craft. So at the beginning, there might be a bunch of easy items, right? These are 3 2s on, a bunch of black dice. That's pretty easy, considering you start with 5. But, rolling 2 black 5s and 2 red 4s, well, hell, we don't even have red dice yet, so this is actually way more difficult for us than it is currently. So we have to be very careful and pace ourselves so that we can get 4 items that are going to be the easiest for us, be it 4 that are easiest right now or 4 that are later. That being said, let's actually not worry about the rolling part. Like I said, that comes at the end of the round. Each round, everybody's going to have a number of turns where they can go shopping, basically. This is sort of like your shopping phase. And let's give you an example. Let's use the forest here. Whenever you go to a location, there's 2 different things you can buy on it. You can only buy 1. The first, this means you put 2 dice of any type. The white box is any type, right there, just like that. And you take this card and you put it in front of you. Sort of like so. And this will give you a green die or a wood die from the bank. And that goes right on your smithy tile. Now any dice you gain this turn you cannot spend or roll. Okay, so you're going to get this out next turn. But for right now, it's just going to stay right there and you'll get it later. Once you've done that, another card will come out and it'll go to the next person's turn clockwise around the table. Let's say this player wants to go to the mine. And there's always 2 things you can buy. Let's say the first player wants to buy some more dice and is going to spend 2 to get 2 metal dice. Now this looks stupid, right? Because we just paid 2 to get 2 more. But the whole trick to this is you're going to get these 2 original ones back. So it's really like you're doubling your investment. You put 2 on, you get 4 back. You just can't do anything else with them this entire round. So let's put 2 there. Let's take 2 metal dice and put them on the lion player's smithy tile. Or I guess that's that's the bear. Lion's over there. All right, so a new card comes out. It's the lion player's turn. Well, lion player sees this icon. That just means just take a free medal. And hey, lions love free stuff, so why not? Another card comes out. And it's going to keep going around just like this. until all the players pass, or basically we're out of cards. So it's the Phoenix player's turn again. Let's say the Phoenix wants to go to the tavern. And again, you put 2 dice here. And it says roll a die. So pick any die. Just remember where you got it from, because you'll put it back wherever you get it. Roll a die. If it's 3 or higher, you get a gem. If it's 1 or 2, you get another medal. So we didn't roll so well. That's okay. We still get another medal. Hey, having more dice is always good. We really wanted to go get that gem. We wanted to go gamble on that gem, but it didn't quite work out. All right, so the bear's turn, and bear actually sees the top of this card, and this has a little clock and a +1. What this clock means is that this is an ability that you effectively will get to spend sometime else during the round. So all the other abilities we've played so far, you take the benefit immediately. Whenever you see this clock, that means we're going to do that later. So he's going to take the cemetery, and he's going to take a +1. We're going to see that come in handy a little bit later on. All right, we go back to the lion's turn after taking another card. Turns out lions still like free stuff, so let's take some more free stuff. Oh, sorry, yep, put that there. Another card. If we go back to the Phoenix's turn, the Phoenix only has 1 die left. Now we could save it for rolling, but again, there's nothing really here to roll for. There is another free card. We could take this one. This one's also free. This is also a free +1. But I want to show you how to use the docks. And so sometimes, you want something that either the cards won't give you or you can't pay for. Well, you can always go down here and use one of these abilities. And I want to draw your attention right here to this one. This is throw 1 die away and you get a wood. So he wants to turn this metal into a wood. No problem. So what you do is you go there, you take your wood, put it on your smithy tile, and then here's the last thing that's hard to remember. Whenever you use the docks, you must take a card off the board. And this is to help just keep the board moving and the game from stagnating anyway. So this Phoenix player is going to take that garden, just put it face down in front of him, and have the last card come out. So again, that board keeps moving, even though that player didn't take a card. By doing something else, he keeps the board moving, keeps that board changing. All right, back to the bear. What the bear really wants to do is take another free +1. Bear's got big dreams, so bear's going to do that. There's actually another free die, and let's keep going, lion. Just keep racking up the free stuff. Whoops, that's the wrong pile. Move that one there. All right, and now it comes back to Phoenix's turn, and Phoenix has no dice left to spend, so Phoenix, went shopping quite a bit this round. It is interesting to note that he's the only player with any wood dice. So later on, when we start getting wooden items to come out, he's the only one who's going to be ready to be able to craft them. And so anyway, Phoenix is going to say pass. The first person to pass each round, and only the first person, will be able to collect one of 2 different bonuses. The first bonus is a metal die. And unlike all the other dice that you gain that go to your tile, the metal die goes right to your hand immediately. So you can actually roll it this round. The second bonus that you could take is one of the green tokens. The green tokens are 2 +1s. In other words, add 1 to 2 different dice. Very powerful, especially if you're rolling lots of dice this round. We can basically make them all better. Unfortunately, the Phoenix has no dice to roll this round because we spent everything on shopping. Technically, I should say the gathering phase is what it's really called. My friends and I, we call it shopping though. So he's just interested in the metal die because having more dice is always good. It's never wrong to have more dice. Okay, the bear has only 3 dice left, and the bear could take another card, but really doesn't want to because the bear really wants to craft something. Actually, you know what? Let's have the bear craft something else just to demonstrate, or not craft, but gather this card. We're going to play the bottom. And just like that clock ability before that added +1 to any die, I have to spend 1, but I get +1 to 3 different dice. So I only have 2 dice left, so I'm not going to be able to use that third +1. But whatever dice I roll, I'm going to be able to up their pips by 1 each. So that's very powerful, right? Helps increase the chances of you making something really nice. Our really cheapskate lion player over here, who refused to spend any dice during the shopping phase, he's still just not going to spend anything, so he's just going to pass. So we have a pass. The bear will now pass. And everybody's passed, so I'm just going to flip this face down and discard it out of play, just so we know that the gathering phase of the round is over. This is the moment where everyone's been waiting for. Everything we've done up until this point was just to sort of prepare ourselves for either this phase's, or this I should say, this round's crafting phase, or in preparation for next round. There's a lot of planning that goes on here. So, starting with player 1, each player rolls all of the dice that they did not spend. And player 1 only has 1 left. You can roll it. Unfortunately, it takes 2, 3, or higher to make a trumpet. So 1 metal does not make a trumpet make. So player 1 just gets nothing. That's fine. Player 2, the bear, is going to roll 2 dice. And could have been a little bit better, but we have some bonuses. First, if you recall, we have these 3 plus 1s. So let's add 1 to the 5 to make it a 6. Let's add 1 to the 1 to make it a 2. I can't use the third one on this card because this has to be 3 different dice. I only have 2. That's okay. I still have a +1 from here and a +1 from here. So let's make that 2 into a 4. And now I've got something pretty good to work with. I think we can make a pretty nice trumpet right now. So what you do is you take the trumpet, you put your highest value numbers on it, and again, you want to make the nicest trumpet you can, because that lion is over there, and if he can make a nicer trumpet, guess who the king is more impressed with? It's not going to be the bear. Hint, hint. While that's happening, the horseshoes also come out. All right, lion's turn. He saved all of his original 5 dice. He only took free stuff. So he was a very cheapskate kind of shopper. But he does get to roll all 5 of them now. Let's see what he can make. And yeah, it's an okay roll. It's an okay roll. If this was 1 pip higher, he could have made a shield and an anvil and actually crafted 2 things 1 round. That's actually quite good. But we were 1 pip short, so it's not going to work out. So we'll just make the shield for now. And actually, let's play a little bit of a what if kind of scenario. Let's pretend that he actually rolled a 6-5 on 2 of these dice. So now do you remember this trumpet was a 6-4? Well, the lion can now say, hey, I'm going to make a trumpet that's a 6-5. These dice go back to the player, and the credit for making the trumpet would go to the lion. Whenever you're effectively stealing an item like this, you must match everything that the opponent put on it, plus exceed at least 1 of the dice by 1. So that's very important. So that the lion would steal the trumpet with a 6-5 because it beats a 6-4. There is a special rule regarding dice above 6. Let's make another hypothetical example here. Let's say that bear initially put a 6-6 on it. And if that lion basically rolls 6-6, we can't actually beat 6-6, right? It's tied, so the bear person would actually get to keep it. But I can temporarily have dice that are above 6 using those pluses that you've seen a few of so far, like here. So if the lion had taken that card, and the lion can roll 6-6, he can say, nope, I'm using this die as a 7. 7-6 beats 6-6, and thus making the bear player super sad. However, 7s only exist when you are stealing. They don't exist forever for blocking or for putting it actually on the item. Dice don't go up to 7, which means you can always steal on a 7. Even if, let's say the phoenix here put 6-6 on it, the bear used a +1 to have a 6-7, so the bear would steal it from the phoenix, and the lion would roll a 6-7, that would steal it from the bear, even though the bear effectively had a 7-6. 7s always steal. That's the one hard rule to remember about crafting and stealing. But if we go back to the original plan here, if you remember, the bear rolled a 6-4 on the trumpet, the lion over here put a pair of 5s on the shield, where are my 5s? I guess they're over here somewhere. Let's go back to reality. So that's what happened in the game. The table would come down, And now this is the end of the round. Everyone's had one roll. That's all you get per round, one roll. So you have to make it count. So the bonuses are very important. It's now the cleanup phase. So all the dice that were on the craft items come back to the players. All the dice that were on the smithy tiles go back to the players. All the dice that were on the gather cards go back to the players. Except, there's one exception here, and we didn't actually use any of those cards. Dice that were placed on spots with X go back to the general stock. So I know that lion took this card for the free ability, but if the lion did this, you can put 2 dice here, and it says, this card says, you may roll dice on your smithy tile during crafting. Remember all those dice that you can just get on your tile, but you can't do anything with? Well, this lets you do something with them this round, so that's very cool. If the lion had done this, though, however, he'd only get this die back. This die would be thrown back to the stock. Okay, so all those dice come back, and make sure there should be 8 dice over here. All these come back over here. All those are off. This is on an X, so this one gets thrown away, or at least returned to the stock. I guess throwing it away is not quite right. You take all of the gather cards, and I found that when I'm playing this, a lot of people like to keep their gather cards and not give them back because they're selfish or greedy or something. But make sure you collect all 11. Give them a shuffle. Players who did get to craft an item should tuck that item underneath their smithy tile. This just shows that they have successfully impressed the king with that item through the end of the round, so they get credit for that item. And both the bear and the lion are 1/4 of the way to winning a game of King's Forge. And you might think, well, hey, the Phoenix is terrible, right? Because he didn't get any items. But again, if you look, there's now a table out here, a 2 and a 3. That's not too hard of a roll to actually roll it. And he's the only person with wood dice. So even though the Phoenix doesn't have an item yet, he's actually set himself up for a very easy next turn. Pass the first player token to the left. Deal out 4 new gather cards. And you do it all over again. You keep doing this until at the end of the round, some player has 4 or more items. And again, it is possible to actually double craft in a turn, so you can actually have 5 or even 6 on a really, really rare occasion if you just have a really, really good roll. But once one player gets 4, you play it out to the end of the round. If that player still is the only player with 4, that player wins the game. Now, if 2 players have 4, there is a tiebreak rule. Whoever has the single highest numbered item in their collection wins the tie. This is the only other time this number matters other than initial setup. That's the only time. If you are playing a 2-player game of King's Forge, it's very important that you also adhere to the 2-player rules. There are 2 differences. Number 1, you need 5 items to win instead of 4 for 2 players. And the second rule is that the gather phase ends immediately as soon as you can't refill all of the 4 spaces. So it sort of prevents lots and lots and lots and lots of shopping. In a 3 and a 4-player game, you're only going to be able to shop usually a maximum of 4 and 3 times each if everyone does it. Though of course if someone passes early, that means that there's going to be more cards available to take. So anyway, King's Forge again is played in a series of rounds. That's what you do every round. There's lots of information in the rulebook about the individual card abilities if you're ever unsure. But as you can see, it has both a worker placement element where most of the game is spent deciding what dice you want to spend where, and also a push your luck element where you decide what dice do you want to save in order to save for that roll at the end of each round. Your average game of King's Forge lasts anywhere between 5 and 9 rounds. So you're only going to be rolling your pool of dice between 5 and 9 times on average. So making those times where you do roll, making them count is really, really important.